Hello, cinema friends. Welcome to another edition of Cinesundry. I'm your host, Markus, Seaberry, and today we're taking a trip back to Gotham City as we review The Batman. Now, before we get into this review of The Batman, I want to remind you about our rating system. Okay, that first rating that you see there is our tour. That is for those cream of the crop, tip-top, top shelf, amazing projects. Normally some of the best projects you've seen all year. And that middle rating is middling. That is for those projects that had potential or promise but didn't quite deliver on that potential or promise. We'll call them a good try. And that last rating is hack. That is for those terrible, dismal, abysmal, god-awful projects that probably shouldn't have been made in the first place. All right, so now we've got the ratings down. And for this week, we're going to do things a little different. You know, I love nerding out about movies, and I'm a firm believer that nerding out should not be a solo affair. It's always better with friends, so I want to introduce a new co-host, Gale Jones-Carson.
Hi, Markus. Thank you for having me with you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Like I said, nerding out should not be a solo affair. Always better with friends. And I've heard that you're actually involved with the Film Commission?
Yes, I am the chairman of the board for the Memphis and Shelby County TV and Film Commission.
Okay, so
I've been on the board for many years now.
All right, so you're a bona fide movie buff.
I am. Before the pandemic, I would go to the movies 1 to 3 times a week. That was my mental escape. I love movies.
I'm the same. I've been a movie goer for a long time, maybe because I grew up in the country in Fayette County. We couldn't go to the movies when I wanted to. Yeah. So glad you're here. Welcome aboard. So
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So we're going to get into this review. And first, we're going to start with the rundown. Okay, now in this version of the Batman story, we see a young Batman in his second year of crime fighting. And we also see him encountering a lot of friends and foes for the first time as he begins his quest to retake Gotham. And of course, next we got to talk about the script and acting. Well, I enjoyed the script. Again, you get the sense that this Batman has not figured it all out. This is a young Batman. This is, him kind of trying to get things together. And I guess if I have a complaint, I can say it probably could have been a little shorter. That 3 hours was a little taxing for me in the late night hours. But yeah, how'd you feel about the script?
Well, I know 3 hours seems long for some people, but when a movie is action-packed or when it's very, very good, 3 hours goes by very fast to me. It doesn't seem like it. I watched it at 4:00 the day I watched it. I was out of the movie with the commercials and previews. I was out by 7:03. It was action-packed from beginning to end. So the time frame was not a bother for me. I enjoyed the movie. So yeah, that was good for me. That was 3 hours that I didn't have to think about anything else in the world.
Excellent point. And of course, now we got to talk about these actors. I think it was a solid cast. First, you got to talk about Batman Bruce Wayne himself, Robert Pattinson. Of course, you know him. You know him as the sparkly vampire Edward from the Twilight movies.
And that's what I love him for.
I respect that. I watched him, thought they were interesting. He's also done things like Tenet, Water for Elephants. He's been building up an impressive filmography. Again, this is a young Batman. This is not the polished crime fighter of the comics or other films. You see him trying to get it together. You also see him still dealing with the trauma from his, parents and other things, and also wow, he's very ruthless. He is not nice with the criminals at all.
Well, and this time, and this Batman, he learns some very hurtful information about his father that kind of pushed him, over a little bit more. So he was already, like you said, dealing with all of those years, dealing with the loss of his father and his mother, but to learn that his father had done some illegal stuff was kind of hurtful to him, and so that kind of bothered me with making him an even more darker character. And that is one of the things that Matt Reeves did. He made him darker than what I grew up seeing. That was not the Batman that I grew up with. So I had to I'm grappling with this new Batman and his new image and his how dark he is.
That's fair, because those were some brutal fights with the criminals. They were
Yeah,
very, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, they were.
Well, and also the way he started acting towards Alfred, I had to get along. Him telling Alfred, you're not my father,
Yeah,
and so I'm just seeing this other side of him. I'm trying to grasp that.
yeah, that was kind of hard to watch. Well, of course, we got Batman, and we got to talk about Selena Kyle and Catwoman, played by Zoe Kravitz. Now, this is Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet's child. She's kind of been growing up in the movies. She's in things like XB in First Class, Mad Max Fury Road, and I thought she was great as Selena. She was tough. You can kind of see a little bit of pain in her performance. I thought she did a great job. How did you feel about Zoe's performance?
Well, she did have, she was grappling with the pain, the loss of her friend, but she also was showing that she needed some caring and some love, which she did not get. But this is an actress who rode in on the shoulders of Eartha Kitt and also Halle Berry and some of the others. And she was excellent. Her role, she played it excellent. I enjoyed watching her from the beginning, from when she started and dealing with all the issues she had to deal with, transforming from her work world to the Catwoman. The Catwoman, she was excellent. She played excellent. She did a wonderful job, and I liked how it ended. With them having the strength to go their separate ways, even though there was some affection there.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. And of course, now we got to talk about Commissioner Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright, one of my favorite actors. I've seen him in things like No Time to Die, the Westworld TV series. One of my favorite roles, he was Peoples Hernandez in the Samuel Jackson Shaft. Um, I like him. He was a different kind of Commissioner Gordon. He was tough. We see him at the beginning of his commissionership, like he actually gets the job in this movie. And like I said, he's tough, but you also see him genuinely concerned about Batman, and realize that he kind of needs Batman because Gotham is pretty wild.
Well, he is a little different from the commissioner that I grew up with, but I liked him as the commissioner. I liked his caring, his concern, and I liked him being tough when he needed to be tough. I liked him standing by the Batman when all the other law enforcement officials were against him. He stood for right. So he played the role where the character was written really well for this Batman, and he played excellent in it.
Yes, I agree. Like I said,
He's a good actor. He's a very good actor.
yeah, that's why he's one of my favorite actors. I've been wanting him to get some of this comic book money, and he finally did.
He got it. He got it. And
Yeah.
hopefully this will carry him on to some bigger roles as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And next we got to talk about Colin Farrell as the Penguin, an unrecognizable Colin Farrell, prosthetics, fat suit, the whole works, the whole 9 yards, and but still killing it as the Penguin, kind of evil, slimy, and you see him trying to rise up within his criminal organization. How'd you feel about Colin Farrell's performance?
Well, I think Matt Reeves did an excellent job with this role. I think the makeup and all of the work that went with that was excellent. I think that when awards come out, I think that whoever the person who did all of the makeup for that character should definitely be at the top for an award. But
Right.
I never would have guessed he was the character had I not seen pictures. Because I mean, they transformed him, and he played really. He did an excellent job in the role. The Penguin I grew up with was funnier, different, crazier. But I like this Penguin.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Peace to Burgess Meredith, but you know, yeah. Colonists seems to be emerging as the superior penguin, and
Exactly.
exactly. And then, of course, you got to round out this cast of characters. We have Paul Dano as the Riddler and Edward Nygma. You know, another top tier, you know, award nominated actor in things like Little Miss Sunshine. There Will Be Blood, just so many great performances, and this is one too. And he is just psychotic, and calculating, and to me, I almost feel like maybe this is a path that Bruce Wayne could have gone down. You know, this is kind of like an alternate look because they were noticing like a lot of the similarities and a lot of the different little psychosis between what the Riddler does and what Bruce Wayne does. What's your thoughts about Paul Dano as the Riddler?
Well, you know, this was another character who I thought was transformed because I mean, look at him now, and when you look at him on the screen, it doesn't look like him. They did an excellent job in making him look like, you know, possibly like a kid who was bullied and decided to take it out on the world, and which he did want to take out some issues that he did have with the orphanage and blaming it on Bruce Wayne's father, and so he wanted to take all of that out on the world, and he played that role really well, and the look they gave him, that was the kind of look that I would expect for an extreme crazy person trying to take stuff out on the world. They did an excellent job with that.
Yes, he pulled off insanity. He made you believe.
Yes, he was definitely insane, quite insane. Well, you know, and another thing that surprised me in that movie was when they had all these characters showing up at the end. You know, like you know, battling for him, killing people for him. Sort of like a Jim Jones stuff, drinking the Kool-Aid. He had all these people. He doesn't look in the movie. He doesn't look like that he would have the kind of influence to get people to do all of the killing that they did. And but then I guess there were a lot of people out there who, like him, who want to destroy the world. But that was a surprise to me in the movie.
I agree. He was way more charismatic and convincing than I guess the character would appear to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they just showed up out of nowhere, everywhere, just bombing stuff, shooting folks, you know.
Yeah, that was very Reverend Moon, Jim Jones-ish for you history buffs out there. And of course, now we got to talk about the director's technique. The director of this film is Matt Reeves. He directed Cloverfield. He's directed a lot of the Planet of the Apes films, and I think the film is visually stunning. I mean, it's just a dark and gritty Gotham. It's depressing, but yet entertaining with all the action and fighting at the same time. How'd you feel about Matt Reeves' work with this film?
Well, I think one of his goals was to go darker than The Dark Knight, and that's a goal he achieved. The entire, from the scenery, everything being dark throughout the movie, he achieved that. Bruce Wayne being a darker character than other Batmans, others who played Batman. I just think the go darker goal he set, he achieved from the beginning to the end of the movie with the characters, their roles. He achieved what his goal was. Go dark.
Yeah, like you said,
and that was a challenge for me.
I understand. It's like, do you ever have sunny days in Gotham? Is it always overcast?
Even during the days that the days look dark.
I know. It's like, Is there a beach near Gotham? No, just darkness. Okay, I got it. And okay, now we've come down to the part about sentiment and rating. Well, all right, Gale, I'm going to ask you to give your sentiment and rating first.
Okay, so I had to rate the Batman middling, primarily because I'm still grasping with the darkness of this, with the change in role and character and the progression of darkness with the Batman. That hasn't grown on me yet. I mean, a lot in the movie was good. It kept my attention from beginning to end, but it just doesn't feel like it gets the top rating for me.
You know what? That's fair. I respect that. It was a bold departure from what we're used to as Batman. I'm going to talk about my sentiment. Like I said, there was one of slight fatigue. A 3-hour film, saw it at night, but after that, I was pleased because I'm a Robert Pattinson fan. I've just really been wanting people to see him as something besides Edward because everybody held it over him, similar to the way they held Michael Keaton's comedic pass over him back in '89 when he played Batman and Bruce Wayne, and he was great. So I was pleased to see that. It was a dark Gotham, but it was interesting, and like I said, Batman was ruthless, and that kind of stayed with me for good or bad. Batman also seemed to take a lot more damage, and then just seeing kind of like these young pre or proto form versions of the heroes and villains in Gotham. I just thought it was an interesting take. Also, if you see this show, you know I'm a comic book nerd. Batman's my guy. So for me, I'm gonna give this one our tour.
Arthur, okay, all right.
Yeah, like I said, I'm biased. I'm a comic guy. I'm definitely a Batman guy, and like I said, I've been rooting for Robert Pattinson about a decade now because they're like, "Oh, he's Edward," and I'm like, he's done other movies.
Well, I respect that, Marcus.
Thank you. And guys, this is the show. You see, everybody has differences of opinions, but we can all share. So this is gonna do it for this episode of Cinesundry for Gale Jones Carson, my host. I am the other host, Markus Seaberry. And always, guys, remember, like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, and remember, take some time and treat yourself to a movie. See you next time.